Welcome back to the Build a Nation Challenge. In 2006, National Geographic Traveler named the Faroe Islands as the world's most appealing island destination from a list of 111 islands and archipelagos. My goal is to also make it the #1 destination for football fans. We might be 20 or more years away from that, but it's good to dream big. Let's start by looking at our squad for the upcoming season. We have two options right now. Keep doing what we're doing and promote players from our youth system, which is fine, or try to increase our reputation by recruiting better players. Of course, the second option will cost more in wages, and that can quickly spiral out of control. Either way, our weakest spot is arguably the central defenders on the right side. If we decide to bring in a new player, that's likely where we'll focus. The board asked if we thought expanding the stadium was a good idea. Sure, why not? We hit maximum capacity in all big Champions League games. I think the extra capacity cost of £1.6 million will turn into profit within 2 seasons.
I'm semi, I stay automatic. Money add then multiply, I call it mathematics.
We have 3 games left in the Champions League, and I'd love to win this one against Lyon. However, I think a draw is more likely, and that wouldn't be a bad result for us. After 30 minutes, we get a free kick. Clevian takes it and finds the head of Mr. Anderson, who puts us in front. Lovely. Henrik Holden makes it too. To be honest, it's not that Lyon is bad. We're just very good at scoring goals. Alright, calm down. We probably don't deserve a third goal, but Fredriksson scores a great one anyway. No clean sheets today. We concede after 88 minutes. I guess we can allow that. Full time. A 3-1 victory for the home team. I won't lie. That's a big result for us. Like I said, we likely didn't deserve 3 goals, as we outperformed our expected goals. But we'll take all 3 points and send Lyon packing back to France.
Au revoir, bonne chance, good luck!
The transfer window is opening up, so it's time to get down to business. First, let's look at who's leaving. We've only sold 1 player, but it's a significant one. Jugovic, as part of his loan deal, has made his stay with Klaksvíkar permanent. We've released 10 players, including some familiar names like A.S.E. Dam, Lucas Eliasson, and Vitus Friis, who all played for our first team. What these 10 players have in common is that they all had a maximum of 2 potential stars, according to our backroom staff. We want to focus on developing and loaning out players with higher potential. So there will always be a good number of players going out and youngsters coming in to improve the quality we can loan out. Speaking of new signings, we've brought in 17 players for the small price of £16,000. That's more players than I expected, and I might have signed a couple above my age threshold who could potentially join our first team. Otherwise, it's just a nice bunch of new young talents. I've made 2 small changes right away. First, Hafliði Eliasson, a very promising central defender who was on loan at Klaksvíkar, will now be our 3rd choice central midfielder. He could also end up as a 2nd or 3rd choice Segunda Volante. I plan to keep him unless Klaksvíkar comes calling again. This means Håkon Lindgren will be demoted. He didn't do anything wrong last season, but at 26, he won't improve much, and I'd rather sell or loan him out than keep him as a 3rd option. Another player returning from loan is Sindri Eggerson, an 18-year-old fullback who will take the 3rd spot on the left side. He might have the highest potential of all our 200 or so players, time will tell. Jonas Bindelev is the one making room for him. Again, he did nothing wrong to get demoted, but at 24 I'd rather see him sold or loaned out to another Faroe Islands club. Next, we're heading back to London to face a struggling Chelsea team. They're not happy with only 6 points, and I have a feeling they might get 3 points here. It would be a small surprise if we get anything from this match. Alright, mistakes happen, but that's a big one by their defender, and Mr. Anderson takes full advantage to give us the lead.
At last.
At the start of the second half, the better team finds the back of the net. Not too surprising. But I wasn't expecting them to score again a few minutes later. Now we need to pull up our boots and see if we can attack, though it's not ideal. A massive mistake by Stenold in midfield, and Chelsea make sure we won't pull off any magic in this match. Now it's about avoiding conceding too many. This is starting to look really bad for us. We don't want a poor goal difference. Full time, 4-1 to Chelsea. I'm not surprised they won, but this might be one of our worst performances in the last couple of seasons. We got destroyed, and we should be happy we didn't concede more than 4. But apparently we've already done enough, as the day after, we received a message confirming we've secured a playoff spot, even with 1 game left. Fantastic news. Our last game is against Benfica at home. There's a small chance we can make the top 8 if we win, but I think that's dreaming. Call me pessimistic, but it's more likely we'll lose.
Keep your expectations very low, that way when anything good happens, it'll be a lovely surprise.
41 minutes in, and they get their first highlight, though not their first shot, so I'm not too upset about going behind. Man, we're not looking good at the moment, but we need to remember we're playing against some of the best teams right now. Yeah, this is kind of embarrassing. I'm still unsure if we should invest heavily in better defenders, but this makes me lean toward yes. Okay, a consolation goal, but we'll take it. Full time, 3-1 to Benfica. Fair and square, they're better. My issue with bringing in better defenders is that we'd need to pay at least £10,000 in wages to find anyone slightly better. Instead of waiting for our young talent to develop, maybe we're fine with what we have and just need to be patient. Let's think about it. We're finishing in 14th place in the Champions League. I think we're doing perfectly fine with what we have.
Stop cheering me up!
We've drawn Lazio for the playoff game. Not the worst, not the best. I guess we can be somewhat happy with that. All right, we're selling our oldest player, Noah Meni, who's also a very important player as a Faroe Islands international, and our first choice Segunda Volante. But China came calling, and £1.1 million for a 31-year-old is a fair deal, especially since he wanted the move. Replacing him is Malt Simonsen, who's been promoted to the first team. I think Aureliusson or Tonsberg will end up as the first choice, with Simonsen as the third. Either way, we have plenty of decent players for the spot, so we shouldn't worry too much. First leg of the playoff against Lazio, and I just checked. They've won Serie A in the last 2 seasons, so this will be harder than I thought. Let's hope we don't concede too many goals here, so we have a chance in the second leg. Not looking great. We conceded after 21 minutes. We really need to get through this without too big a mountain to climb in the second leg. Yes, our promoted player, Aureliusson, gets involved by assisting Leven for a goal. More of that, please. Now we're talking. A penalty for us in the 86th minute, and our academy player Jakobsen steps up. Bish, bash, bosh. Italian champions get lost.
We now return to cutting in line in front of Italians.
Full time, 2-1 to the mighty Suðuroy. That's a massive result and puts us in a great position for the second leg. I'm surprised how even this game was, considering we're up against the Italian champions. Second leg, and with a 1-goal lead, we're slight favorites, especially at home. But this could easily go wrong. Very poor defending by Lazio lets Gravgaard run into the box and score with a narrow shot. Oh no, Gravgaard becomes the villain, getting a second yellow card just 20 seconds into the second half. We got away with it. Full time, 3-1 aggregate. That's crazy. It's not like they didn't try. They had 249 expected goals, but Dabelstein kept us alive, probably having one of his best games for us. Once again, we're among the best 16 teams in Europe. Fantastic. In the draw, we had 5 options, and I wouldn't have minded another trip to Italy after conquering their champions.
You can drink from these and then put them on your head to be a clown from an Italian opera. Laughing outside, crying down below. Pasta, meatballs, Joe DiMaggio, fellatio, Pinocchio, a pizza pie from Domino's. All of this because I'm singing in the pointy hat.
But no, we get Los Blancos.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Another Faroe Islands season kicks off with us winning the Super Cup. Looking at the league odds, our chances have slightly decreased, which is a good sign. I think teams like Vikingur are taking big steps toward becoming competitive in Europe soon. All right, anyone thinking this match against Real Madrid will be anything but a loss is delusional. All we can hope is that we don't concede 6 or more goals. It didn't take Bellingham more than 6 minutes to score the first goal. This is going to be a horrible match. And he scores again from a penalty after 45 minutes. What? A bit of a surprise. Aureliusson, who seems like a dead ball specialist, scores from a free kick. Okay, Full time, 2-1. That's not terrible at all. They even allowed us a lot of chances. But this was our home game. I expect them to win comfortably in the second leg. Can we do the impossible at the Bernabeu? No, don't fool yourself. I'm predicting a 6-1 loss by full time, but please don't bet on that.
As my father used to say, it's better to be a coward for a minute than dead for the rest of your life.
It didn't take them more than 2 minutes to score the first. You know what? Unless this gets exciting, I'll skip to the end. Full time, 7-3 to Real Madrid on aggregate. Not quite spot on with my prediction, but it was never close. Even though we got lucky scoring 2 goals, they might have been unlucky not to score more than 7 over the 2 legs. That's how our campaign ends, but it was a very good one. And being knocked out by Los Blancos is nothing to be ashamed of.
Adios.
The transfer window is closing, and we can again be very happy with getting 120 of our players out on loan. This time, it looks like the majority of our absolute best players are located in the Faroe Islands. Vikingur alone has about 30 of our players, which is absolutely crazy. Not many changes to our squad this time. The only significant change is at the Segunda Volante position, where Alisson is now the first choice. Dabelstein is also taking over as the first choice goalkeeper, which might make Theodor Kvist slightly unhappy. Otherwise, our team remains largely untouched. However, we do have one more curveball to deal with in terms of transfers.
I don't like your curveball. As a matter of fact, I hate your curveball. You want to know why? What? Because the damn thing don't curve!
Svein Fredriksson is leaving us after 8 long seasons. He's been a fantastic player and is now moving to Canada, of all places. The £1.2 million we received isn't a bad deal, especially since Fredriksson was already our 4th choice striker. It feels like a natural end to his career with us. Replacing him is another Icelandic player, Aron Haraldsson. He's not quite at the same level as our best young striker, who's out on loan, so he might only be a temporary 4th choice unless he performs exceptionally well. He'll get his chances, but I don't expect him to become a key player for us. Half a season later, we're unbeaten, having won all our matches and conceding only 4 goals in 16 games. No surprises here. We're top of the table, with Klaksvíkar and Havnar Boltfelag looking like the second best teams this season. Hopefully, at least one of our Faroese friends will make it to the Conference League playoffs this time. The mid-season transfer window is now open for business. Like last season, we didn't bring in many players mid-season, mostly because contracts in Nordic countries tend to run out in the winter, and it's cheaper to sign players then. Coefficient points have been updated, and we're still doing really well. We secured our second highest point haul with 7,875 points, largely thanks to our campaign. Imagine what will happen when other Faroese clubs start reaching the league stages too. We've also moved up from 24th to 21st place, which means we'll enter the Champions League in the second qualifier next year instead of the first. It's not a huge difference, but it's progress. Now, I'm not sure if we're unlucky or Hammarby is unlucky. Maybe both, because that was a horrendously bad draw for the second qualifier. Very bad news, I'm afraid. Captain Fantastic is leaving us.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
There have been many bids over the last 2 seasons, and a Saudi Arabian club finally met the minimum fee we agreed on with Patrick Højbjerg. He'd be very upset if we canceled the deal. The only positive here is that he's 27 and won't improve much further. He was our first academy player and has been a constant figure in this save, but his time with us has come to an end. To replace him, we're promoting Bindelov again. He did perfectly fine for us last season, though he's not quite the player Højbjerg was. The transfer window is now closed. We got a good number of players out on loan, but losing Captain Fantastic is the only big news worth mentioning. While Hammarby is a tough opponent in the first leg, I believe we'll win comfortably over the 2 legs. Still, getting a good start at home is crucial. After 34 minutes, we got our goal, with Gravgaard pushing into the box and finding the back of the net. In the second half, Jakobsen got an easy tap-in to double our lead. Very late in the game, Mr. Anderson made sure we could be happy with the result, bringing it to 3-0. That's the final scoreline. Not bad at all, and I feel more confident about my prediction of us winning over 2 legs. However, I think Hammarby will perform much better when we visit Sweden for the second leg. Okay, Let's hammer this nail in the coffin and bury Hammerby.
Classic pun.
I know.
A 3-goal lead should be more than enough, but for some reason, I'm worried. This is what I was afraid of. They scored an early goal in the 25th minute, opening up the game, but Mr. Anderson came to the rescue just 2 minutes later. He must be the chosen one.
Several bad puns later.
In the second half, I'd be lying if I said we deserved to score again, but we took advantage on the counter, and Stenold scored the goal that made me feel safe, saying, "Now we'll win it. There we go." Bleiberg came on as a substitute and scored a minute later. Love it. Full time. 6-1 on aggregate. I guess I was nervous about nothing. Hammerby was definitely better in this game, but they collapsed in the second half. On paper, the third round should be much easier, as we're up against Maribor. In fact, I think we'll win this by over 10 goals across the 2 legs. In the Conference League second qualifier, I'm disappointed with the other Faroese clubs. Nes Sokna lost their match, and while Klaksvíkar advanced with a win, they're the only team to make it to the third round, as Vikingo lost to a Romanian team. The first leg against Maribor went almost as I expected, with us winning 4-1. There was a small hiccup when they scored, and they played slightly better than I anticipated, but I don't see them winning the second leg or even coming close. I wouldn't be surprised if my prediction holds true and we win 7-0. Well, not even close. Either I underestimated Maribor, or our current level is far below previous years. I'm leaning toward the latter. While we won 7-2 on aggregate, we can't be happy with conceding 2 goals. In the playoffs, we're up against Rijeka, a Croatian team I don't recall seeing before. They seem to have some decent players, so this won't be easy. Finally, it happened. We have a Faroese team in the Conference League playoffs. Klaksvíkar won their match, but it feels like only half a win, as they might only have 2 games left unless they pull off a miracle. Croatia, here we come. It would be nice to start with a win, but the odds suggest a draw is more likely. Right, okay. We scored after 18 seconds. That's got to be a new record of some sort. Henrik Holden made it 2-0 after 8 minutes. This could be a lot easier than we thought. Bleiberg made it 3-0 from the penalty spot after 20 minutes. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
I'm a bit surprised, but Henrik Holden is killing this game already in the 22nd minute. Jakobsen made it 5-0 in the second half. Stenold added a 6th goal a couple of minutes later. Alright, they clawed one back from a corner. But Mr. Anderson had the last laugh, making the scoreline a bit of a joke. 7-1 is not the scoreline I expected before the match started. That makes the second leg rather pointless. They're not coming to the Faroe Islands and scoring 6 or 7 goals. And they didn't, but they did win the second leg, which is kind of surprising. We seem to perform better away than at home. But then I noticed we're not actually playing at home. Our stadium is being expanded, so we're playing in Tórshavn instead. That explains the dip in our home performance. In any case, we won 8-3 on aggregate and are through to the Champions League. We've been handed a tough set of fixtures for this campaign, but so was last season. I hope we can get the points we need against teams like Copenhagen and Stuttgart and then get lucky against one of the big boys. Over in the Conference League, Klaksvíkar drew Lille, which might have been the worst case scenario among the seeded teams. I can't blame them for losing big. At least we can be happy that we finally got a team to the playoffs this season. Another year, another season where we win the league, this time with 6 games to spare. We're still unbeaten and have won every single game. If this continues, next season, we might break the record for consecutive wins. While our academy is fully upgraded, the intake we're getting isn't quite what we hoped for. We might even see the best talent coming through in the Faroe Islands. Only signing 3 new academy players in our 12th season is disappointing. Our first league phase game is against Arsenal away. I'm just going to say it. This will be a loss unless we're extremely lucky. And lucky we might be. We took an early lead from a corner, with Ole Peterson heading it in. But luck only gets you so far. Arsenal equalized soon after. Declan Rice put them in front, and it's likely only downhill from here. They made it 3-1. I haven't seen any other highlights for us. They scored a 4th goal just 48 minutes in. Well, at least we're still capable of scoring. Again, it came from a corner, though not directly this time. But we're leaking goals at the other end, so there's no chance for a comeback. Old time, 5-2 to Arsenal. While this doesn't look like a good result, the performance wasn't bad at all. This is a top 5 team in the Champions League, so I'm fairly happy with what I saw. Young boys might be our best chance to get 3 points. We're playing at home, and I fully expect us to win. No, scratch that. We need to win this. Anything else would be unacceptable. 32 minutes in, and we've had plenty of highlights. Jakobsen got our first goal with a back post header, and he smashed in another 1 minute later. No chance for their goalkeeper. In the 81st minute, Aureliusson made it 3-0, finding the perfect space to run into. Full time, 3-0 to us. It went exactly as I hoped and imagined. 2 goals by our academy player, a clean sheet, and an easy 3-point. Our stadium has been expanded, adding 3,707 seats, bringing the total capacity to 11,122 spectators. That's quite big for an island with only 4,600 inhabitants. I'm not expecting us to win our next match against Galatasaray, but a draw would be nice. Looking at the table, they have 6 points after 2 games, so even a draw might be a stretch. We started poorly, conceding a goal after just 7 minutes. A bit of luck, but Svensson equalized from a narrow angle with a deflection. Good, we're back in it. And he did it again. I'm not sure why the match engine loves generating goals from second ball clearances on corners, but I don't care as long as we're scoring them. A massive mistake by Stenold led to them scoring a deflected goal. No chance for Dabelstein to save it. I brought in Matthias Olesen for the Segunda Volante role, something I've never done before. It was enough of a surprise for Galatasaray to handle. We scored in the 82nd minute to make it 3-2. 3 points secured, full time. That feels like a pretty big result. It was a fairly even game, so sneaking that late goal in was fantastic. Guys, we have a cup final. This time, we're deliberately trying to throw it. Argja Boltfelag was also in the final last season, and I decided to give them the win to see what happens. I've never tried this before, so I'm playing our worst players out of position in a ridiculous tactic. Will it work? I think so, but I'll tell you in a second. Yes, it worked. They won 5-0, and for the first time ever, Argja Boltfelag can call themselves cup winners. More importantly, they'll play in the Europa League next season, along with Klaksvíkar and Vikingur in the Conference League qualifiers. We kind of screwed over having our Boltfelag, but I don't feel sorry for them. This might not be the last time we do a bit of match fixing. We gave up our invincible season in all competitions, but we're still invincible in the league, so we're on track for our 3rd straight season of that. Liverpool is coming to town, guaranteeing a sellout. Actually, the cup game before this was also a sellout, so the stadium expansion is definitely a success. We're not trying to throw this game, but I think we'll likely lose by the same scoreline as the cup final.
The important lesson here is for you to look for the positives in failure.
They scored from a corner after 2 minutes. You know what? Unless this gets exciting, I'm skipping the rest of the goals. Full time, 3-0 to Liverpool. We weren't that bad after the first goal, but Karl Gravgaard got himself sent off with a direct red card. In the end, it was the loss we expected. An update on the Faroe Islands national team. They found some success this season, winning the UEFA Nations League D division over Armenia and Andorra.
A great success!
They'll be promoted to the C division next season. I also want to take a quick look at some of the players. We have 11 of our players in the national team setup, and interestingly, more and more of our players from other Nordic countries are switching their nationality to Faroese. In fact, 9 of our current Faroese internationals started out as Danish, Icelandic, Swedish, Norwegian, or Finnish. Even former players like Santeri Latinen and Sun Makander, who played for Argja Boltfelag, have switched their nationality. Only 7 players in the national team were actually born in the Faroe Islands. So it's fair to say our loan factory is adding a lot of strength to the national team. I can't confirm this, but I believe leagues with rules treating certain nations as non-foreign, like we have with other Nordic countries, might override the normal 10-year residency rule for nationality changes. Either that, or playing 10 years within any of these nations is enough to change nationality. To finish this season, we have a Nordic duel. We're jumping straight into the lion's den once again, and I want this cat skinned and their fans crying. Alright, that's going down as the most boring game of the season. Maybe even the save. 0-0 with only one highlight for each team. I guess the Lions were napping, and we couldn't find an opening to the den. A decent season is coming to an end. We couldn't match last season's crazy performance levels, but only 4 players are below a 7 rating, which is nothing to scoff at. Roy Bleiberg once again topped the charts for goals scored, with 32, not quite as many as last season, but he also topped the average rating with 730, and I still had him on impact sub playing time, though he's already signed a new contract that will activate at the end of the year. Kristoffer Quist Svensson took the top assist maker spot this time, with 18 assists and 15 goals, earning a 7.65 rating in 36 matches. Him and Kozlov are tearing up the right-hand side as wingers. Mr. Anderson had a decent season, scoring 23 goals and assisting 7, with a 7.52 rating in 33 matches. However, we might end up selling him as he's entering the last year of his contract, and we want to explore his options. Henrik Holden has stepped up in Captain Fantastic's absence, with 14 goals, 16 assists, and a 737 rating in 36 appearances. Not bad at all for an academy player. Another academy player, Matthias Jakobsen, also had a very good season, with 26 goals, 3 assists, and a 734 rating in 35 appearances. It's important to have academy players performing well, so I'm happy with them. There we are, a stadium upgrade, state-of-the-art facilities, and the Faroe Islands are improving, both in terms of the clubs and the national team. I'm chuffed. All we need to do is keep the curve going up, and at some point in the future, we'll arrive at a place where we can proudly say, we've built a nation.